You know, we've done radio for so long. I've done radio for 17 years, right? You've done it for how
I
long?
think you started when you were 9. Now with me it's been 14 years.
14 years. So usually when you introduce a guest, you do all this research and you find ways of,
Introducing them.
and personalizing it.
Yes.
I can't do it with this one. I have to read from the profile.
I'm telling you.
I have to read from the profile.
I'm telling you.
Right?
You have to read the whole thing. Like a Tribe Called Quest.
So our guest, as we already told you, Dr. Gcina Mhlophe, she's a celebrated author, a storyteller, and the founding director of the Gcina Masiko Arts and Heritage Trust. Her work has been translated into numerous languages, including all official South African languages, right? And even Braille. I discovered that yesterday, and I'll tell you about the event I attended yesterday. She has directed theatrical plays in the USA, UK, and Greenland, which we've been learning about. Hey,
Some had their
and her most renowned and studied work has been Zandile. Seen Zandile?
Have you seen Zandile?
Have you seen Zandile?
Yes.
We'll find out about that. And in addition, her poetry has been transformed into dance and classical music. There is so much. She has won summers. She has written books, which some of them they were donating this morning at Baobab, right? Dr. Gcina, welcome to Botswana. Welcome to Yarona FM. How are you?
I'm very well, thank you. I'm really, really happy to be back in Botswana after such a long time, honestly. And I think the last time I was here, I was performing at the Marotodi Storytelling Festival. And I have got such a special memory of that visit. And I have not seen the place I'm going to. So I'm going there for the first time today, we're leaving today. And so I'm going to see parts of Botswana I've never seen before. I'm very happy about that. I'm just grateful to be here. And the reception last night was amazing.
Yesterday there was an event at Tapong, and it was amazing. It was very, very intimate, but it had very powerful, creative people that obviously believe in the power of storytelling. It was hosted by HRDC, so a big shout out to them again. Tell us about that event briefly and why you felt the need to honor that invitation.
For me, when I was told that there's going to be a reception last night, I wasn't sure what kind of reception it was going to be. But when you've got a host like Professor Alina Sekhobe, you know you're lucky.
Yeah.
You just know you're lucky. When I met her, we just connected. You know, when spirits connect, it's like a long-lost sister. So I felt so lucky. And when we arrived at the center, the whole atmosphere in the place, you know that art lives there. Some places are called art centers, but okay, where is the art? So art lives there, different genres, and that just filled my heart with joy. And I called some of our colleagues at home. I said, you won't believe the place I'm in right now. And Mukhorosi has been a fellow storyteller for years. He has been with us in South Africa a few times. And in fact, we featured him in the book, Our Storytelling Tree, because he's just one of my favorite young people. And the dancers, the VIPs, man. I love little people. I love the VIPs. And so for me also to talk about the journey I have traveled, especially with the Nozincwadi Literacy Campaign, because for me, if we don't honor the elders, something is wrong. We miss something along the journey, because those who came before us, they lay down for us to cross. We call it chanting the bridges.
Your journey into storytelling. I don't know if it's something you are drawn to or you are born into. Tell us about that journey, how you got into that space.
I had an amazing grandmother who was a master storyteller. So that is lucky number one. Lucky number two, she had a way with words and painted pictures with words. And so you fall in love with language. That's lucky number two. Number three, she loved traveling. She took me to small towns and different places where we had relatives. And she always say, my little overcoat, follow me. I was my grandmother's little overcoat, and I went all over the place. I thought I was globe-trotting. Just it was around Durban, a few towns around Durban. And then she sat me down one day and she said, you know what, there's a bigger world out there. And I nodded knowingly, yes, Gogo, I know. She said, you don't know. Bigger world. And she started explaining to me how big the world was, not only around Durban, but South Africa, and not only South Africa. And she called it Izwekazi le Africa. I don't know what is the continent in Setswana, but in Zulu we call it Izwekazi. That's our continent of Africa. And she said, even the Zwekazi of Africa is a small place in a bigger world out there. I had no idea that the youngest child of the Mhlophe family was going to go around the world for 44 years. I have seen the bigger world out there. And so storytelling was creeping and walking with me. It's like a suitcase that is traveling with you but is not opened until 1991 when I jumped ship. At the height of my career, I was collecting awards all over the place. And then I jumped ship and I left theater. I went into full-time storytelling. My, it was like being born again. It felt like I have answered the call. So for me, storytelling is a calling.
You know, as Botswana, as Africans, I believe that storytelling is one of those things that's nestled deeply within our fabric.
Yeah.
Right?
Absolutely.
And things like what we do here, radio,
Yeah.
you know, what we play, the music, the comedy, those are very powerful storytelling tools.
Certainly.
What importance do you put on storytelling and its importance in preserving our heritage and who we are as a people?
I put a lot of importance. I mentioned language earlier on. Language is your second skin. When you don't have your mother tongue, who exactly are you? You need your mother tongue. You can speak all this English and French and Portuguese or whatever the colonizers' languages, but you need to speak your own language. Speak your language with love. Don't just speak it because you have to, because the elders are in the house, and because you speak your language. And I speak from my soul, from my heart. And another thing, when you look at the different ways of telling stories, radio is a powerful medium.
Yeah.
You know, it's one of my favorite media. And also you look at the way people tell stories with the clothing they design. Our people, the traditional attires from different parts of the world, they told a story. When you look at architecture, the way we built our homes, you look at people who design art, people who create a mirupa, who create drums and different types of indigenous musical instruments. All of that tells a story. And if you think of anything that is created without the mother whose story, you see, the mother of all art forms is the story. So there's significance of story, and there will be stories for as long as there will be people on earth. People say, oh, but aren't you scared of the artificial intelligence and the technologies? And I say, bring it on. We're going to use it. Bring that technology. We're going to use it. We're not scared of it because our stories can ride any type of horse, any type of fast car, any type of aeroplane. Our stories go places non-stop.
As Africans, we come from an oral tradition,
Yes.
which means telling stories, exciting, public speaking comes naturally.
Yes.
But now, it seems like there's a bridge between that and documentation.
Yes.
Because as much as we speak so well,
Yes.
we need to write so that our stories don't get lost.
Yeah.
Do you think as Africa right now we're doing enough in regards to publishing, documenting, whatever it is we want to preserve?
There's the word, enough. It will never be enough. We are writing. I'm always two people. You see, my left hand is close to my heart. It is the oral tradition. My right hand is the woman who writes. For as long as I shall live, I will describe myself as author, storyteller. Always, always, always. And I love writing my stories, whether it's fiction or whether it's the folk tales I grew up with, whether it is the stories that I create and observe and whatever. And so I'll never stop writing, and I definitely will never stop telling stories. I think we need to do both as children of the African continent. Unless we want the colonizers to always tell our stories. And we complain about it, and I'm just not good at complaining. Ne? Moaning is boring. So I like to do things about the stuff that bothers me. I do something about it. So we continue telling stories, we continue writing stories, and one of the things we do, like I mentioned last night, honoring my great-grandmother, Nozincwadi, mother of books, who couldn't read or write, I decided to publish a book about her. And then I took her to afternoon classes, adult learning center, and she learned to read and write posthumously. And then we donated books all over all 9 provinces, and we continue to do so. And there's no school we ever visited and brought only English books. We bring books of that area, of that region. Like in February, I visited schools that spoke Chivenda, and my books that are translated into Chivenda, I brought them there. I donated them to those schools. And of course, many of them, they know my autobiography. biographical play, which is Have You Seen Zandile? This year, 2025, we're celebrating the 40th anniversary of Have You Seen Zandile? It didn't click on me until February. Just said, what?
In the building.
Who would have thought that Have You Seen Zandile would have been performed every year in schools, in universities, in different countries, in Chicago, in Montreal, in so many places. I thank the Almighty, but I always say, Releboga Modimo, releboga badimo. Sibonga phezulu, sibonga baphansi.
In conversation, it's 8:48. In conversation with Dr. Gcina Mhlophe. Oh, yesterday your surname was all over. Mhlophe.
Yes, and Mhlophe. Yeah. There's wonderful. It's okay.
It's okay. Dr. Gcina Mhlophe, she's a South African storyteller, a writer, a playwright. Do I say playwrighter or playwright? Playwright, an actress, just an amazing, amazing person. We are with her for the next 7 to 10 minutes or so. So there's something you said yesterday, Doctor, that when you went to Ghana, I think it was a mural, if I'm not mistaken, that said, no culture, no future.
Awesome. No culture, no future, in big, bold letters out there. And unless we sink that into our minds as children of Africa, you know, instead of going to take pictures and next to the Eiffel Tower and going to Disneyland, wasting money when we should be traveling the continent, actually. I love this continent. It's an amazing continent. I insist that we need to honor our cultures and our heritage. You see, and I'm thinking of the time I went to Senegal, and then I went to Gorée Island. When I went to Gorée Island, I met the children. The girls were on the boat with us, and they were looking so beautiful and happy. And I asked them, "Where are you going?" And they said, "We're going to school." "Oh, you got a school trip?" Oh. They said, no, we're going to school. This is our mode of transport every day. "But what's the name of your school?" "It's the Mariam Abba School for Girls." Now my heart did somersaults. It's so rare that you find a school named after an author. I thought, brilliant, Mariam Abba, this amazing novelist. When her book came out, it was called So Long a Letter. I bought 8 copies because I wanted my copy to stay in my house, and then the other copies I gave to my friends. I don't want anybody borrowing my book by Mariam Abba. And then another thing that happened while I was in Senegal, I remember when I was telling stories, and then I wrote the song Zinyembezi Zabantu, and people said, you know, every time you tell a story, every time we hear your voice, you remind us of our national storyteller, Coach Barma. I've never heard of Coach Barma. And I thought, tell me. And the more they told me about Coach Barma, the more I realized that this really is a calling. There are so many griots and storytellers in different parts of the African continent. Unless we celebrate each other, we're going to be in trouble.
Our culture is our future. And what else do we have to sell than us?
That's the thing. And I've noticed that in many African countries, you'd find that we know more about Western culture than we know about our culture. I remember the time I went to Nairobi, Kenya, and I went to a university that was close by to where I was staying.
Yes.
I just asked them about Jomo Kenyatta, one of the most important men to ever come out of that country.
That's right.
I was asking about his first name before he became Jomo Kenyatta. They knew nothing about it.
You see?
How can we close this gap? What do we need to do?
We close the gap by insisting on telling the stories that matter. It's us who must tell the stories that matter. One of the things that we do in our organization, by the way, the name Gcina Masiko, where does it come from? Because of the storytelling I do. I was on radio for 7 years doing the Joko storytelling sponsored by Unilever. And so people in rural areas, they recognize my voice before they are sure it's me. If I start greeting, "Oh, Sanibona Ninja," "Oh, yeah, and it's the voice." They recognize, they don't even ask the question, answer my questions. If I'm lost, I'm trying to find a school, they start recognizing the voice. And more elders said to me, "You followed your name very well, your parents must be proud." I thought, my name is Nokugcina, meaning the last girl. But the people in the villages, they call me Gcina Masiko, the preserver of heritage. And I thought, That's my beautiful overcoat. It's my size, my style, right colors. I put it on. That is why then we named our organization Gcina Masiko Arts and Heritage Trust. The preserver of heritage is just why I want to live for as long as the Almighty God will want me to live on this earth, making sure I preserve our heritage. So it's up to us to share the stories that matter. I'm in Botswana and wanting to learn as much as I can. And when I asked people about the Murula yesterday, I learned so many things. And I'm still going to sit down and write down. You know, memory is a real weapon. Memory is a weapon. When we share these stories, I'm going to have to go back to South Africa after my 5 days in Botswana and do a report back. The other artists who wanted to come with me, the other supporters of the heritage space, are wanting to know what did I learn in Botswana. So I'm in school over here.
It's 8:52 on Yarona FM, Live the Music, and when we come back, we'll get into some of the things that you have done with your organization that you are doing. You mentioned that you're going to be doing sort of like a road show around schools. What that is all about, we want to unpack that briefly.